Hi, and welcome to Central School Book Talks. I'm Mrs. Hewing, and today I have another 10 books you can find in our Central School Library. Maybe one of these books will be the next book for you. The first book I want to talk to you about today is Spirit Animals Wild Born by Brandon Mull. Now, this is the first book in the series that introduces you to the fantasy land of Arados. In Arados, when you turn 11, you have a chance to call your spirit animal. Not everyone has the power or the ability to call a spirit animal. And if you do, it means that you are a great and powerful warrior, connected to all of your past ancestors. Well, in this book, 4 lucky kids are able to call their spirit animals. Their spirit animals, however, happen to be the 4 great warriors of the past, because there's a horrible revolution happening in the land of Arados. An evil spirit is coming back and fighting for power. And it is up to these 4 11-year-olds and their new spirit animals to try to save their land. My second book for you this morning is Encyclopedia Brown Shows the Way by Donald J. Sobol. Now, Encyclopedia Brown books are mysteries. The cool thing about this is Encyclopedia Brown listens to the mystery. He tries to solve the case. And when he gets to the end, he always says, "And I know who did it." But Donald Sobol, our author, leaves it up to you. He gives you time to figure it out. And when you think you have the answer to the case, you can flip to the back and see if you solved the mystery correctly. Now, one of my favorites in this book was a mystery that Encyclopedia's father, Chief Brown of the Isadel police force, tried solving a case, but he couldn't solve it. So he asked for help from his young son, Encyclopedia, around the kitchen table. Up next is A Blast to the Past, Washington's War. Now, this is part of a fantasy / historical fiction type series. In this series, our author, Stacia Deutsch and Rhoda Cohan, have created a teacher who loves history, and he's created the history club for his class. His students in the history club get a chance to go back in past and try to stop some of the greatest American heroes from giving up on their dreams. In this story, General George Washington is getting ready to give up and quit the Continental Army. He is tired of fighting in the Revolutionary War. His soldiers are getting sick, they're hungry, they don't have much food, many supplies, and he just wants to quit. It is up to Abigail and her friends in the History Club to convince General Washington not to give up and for the American Army to continue fighting to gain its freedom. What would happen if General Washington had given up? America wouldn't be what it is today. Next up, I have a book from the Babysitter's Club series. This is Claudia and the Phantom Phone Calls by Anna M. Martin. This is the second book in the series. There are 4 girls in the Babysitter's Club who are all really good friends, and they love to babysit. That's why they are the Babysitter's Club. Well, at their babysitting jobs, they start getting mysterious phone calls, people hanging up, and it's not very safe. At the same time, there's been a jewel thief going around robbing the houses in Stony Brook where they live. It's up to the Babysitter's Club to decide, should they tell people about these phone calls? Or maybe it's just a horrible prank, but they no longer feel safe when they're babysitting. This is a very exciting mystery that will keep the pages turning as you're trying to figure out who it is making these phone calls. And are these girls about to get robbed by the phantom caller? Next up is a book by Mike Lapisha called Heat. Now, this is a book about a boy named Michael Arroyo. Michael Arroyo actually was born in Cuba, and he escaped with his father and older brother. When they came to the United States, Michael's father tried teaching him all about baseball, and Michael is a natural. He has one of the fastest and best arms for pitching you've ever seen. He loves playing in Little League, and his dream is to someday play in the Little League World Series. But Michael has a secret. His father has passed away, and he's been living alone with his older brother. They can't let any of the officials know what's going on, or the officials will try to put Michael and his brother in foster care. Next up is a book by Barbara Park called Operation Dump the Chump. Now, I'm guessing most of you have little brothers or sisters, and you know little brothers and sisters can be very, very annoying. Well, Oscar has a little brother named Robert, and Robert is very annoying. So Oscar comes up with this plan to completely get rid of his brother. All he has to do is convince the old neighbors down the road that their dad has lost his job and their family no longer has the money to pay for Robert because he eats so much, and they just need to find a loving family who can take Robert in. And at the same time, he tries to convince his parents that the elderly neighbors down the road are getting so old they just can't seem to take care of themselves, and they really need someone who could be there and help them do chores and wash dishes and work in their garden, and even just help them get out of bed in the morning because sometimes their legs are so sore and stiff they can't get up. Well, Oscar goes through with his plans and works on it. And at the end, there's quite a surprise when the neighbors do call and are ready and willing to take in a boy for help. My next book is Margaret Peterson Haddock's Running Out of Time. Now, this is about a girl named Jessie, and Jessie lives in a small village in Clifton, Indiana. She believes it's about the 1880s. It's a frontier village, and everyone works together as family. Unfortunately, diphtheria, a deadly disease, is striking and killing many of the children and many of the people in her village. It's at this point that Jessie's mother tells her a deep secret. It really isn't the 1880s like they thought. They're actually living in modern times, but they're living in kind of an experiment, a museum of sorts, where there are cameras and two-way mirrors, and you have people who are walking around and watching authentic 1880s life. Now, while it is really modern day, these people have the cure and could stop this diphtheria outbreak, but that would ruin the effects of what it would look like. Because truly, if it had been 1880s, they would all be dying. And they want to keep it so it looks like 1880s for those of us in the modern world to watch frontier life. Well, Jessie's mother lets Jessie know that it's actually the modern world, and there are things out there that could stop this disease from spreading and could stop Jessie's sister from dying, but they're running out of time. So Jessie's mom tells Jessie how she can escape their frontier life into the modern world, and tells her of a doctor she needs to search for to find the cure. But Jessie's going to have to leave everything she's ever known and enter a world with cars, electricity, telephones, things she knows nothing about. Next up I have Lawn Boy by Gary Paulson. Now, in this book, a boy is given an old lawnmower from his grandmother for his 12th birthday. He decides, you know what, he can't go to camp, his bike's broken, he might as well mow a few lawns and see what happens and if he can make enough money to fix his bike. But over the course of the summer, this lawn boy ends up becoming a millionaire. He gets a neighbor who offers to pay him in investments instead of actual money. You won't believe the things that can happen when you seek the power of money and just work hard. Roald Dahl wrote this book called SEO Truck. Now, in this story, Mr. Hoppy, right here, is in love with his downstairs neighbor, Mrs. Silver. Mrs. Silver has a beautiful small tortoise, and the only thing she wants more than anything in the world is for her tortoise to start to grow. So Mr. Hoppy says, all you have to do is repeat this little rhyme, and your tortoise will start to grow. Well, the tortoise doesn't actually grow. Mr. Hoppy starts switching out Mrs. Silver's little tortoise for one that's slightly bigger each and every week. And you won't believe how Mrs. Silver rewards Mr. Hoppy for his wonderful magic chant that helped his tortoise grow. The last book I have today is John Seiska's Viking It and Liking It, the Time Warp Trio. Now, in this series with the Time Warp Trio, these three boys have a book that anytime they open it or talk about the book, it will transport them to another place and time. And in this book, they end up back in the time of the Vikings. They have to help Eric the Red defeat and escape from his evil brother who's trying to kill him. If you like Vikings, or if you're interested in Vikings, this is a great book for you. There's one more thing I want to talk to you about today before I leave. If you are ever looking for a book in the Central School Library, I have this book binder on the shelf next to Mrs. Joslin called Book Chats. You can flip through this book, and you never know, there's little book summaries in here that might be the next book for you. Have a good day.